BDS controversy, which is its own whole topic to discuss and understand, a conversation that should and is generally led by Palestinian filmmakers, journalists, artists, creatives themselves. Instead, I want to talk about No Other Land, this film, in a different way. I was recently listening to some people talk about the film and discuss it from a critical point of view, and they described Yuval Abraham, and they wanted to make a distinction about some of the characters and the roles that they played in the film, and they described Yuval Abraham as a journalist and Basil Adra as an activist. And this to me stood out. This was not a person who was poorly informed. This was not a person who had biases in the sense of, subconscious ones. This was a person who spent most of the time talking about the subconscious biases of why we didn't necessarily need somebody like Yuval in the film. This was a person who was quite aware, but still saw them as inherently slightly different. I think they had good intentions of trying to imply the different roles and circumstances of Yuval and Basil. It does reveal an important point that we need to talk about, which is, what is the difference between activism and journalism? And most importantly, not just what the difference between those two acts is, but actually who gets thrown into what label, who gets thrown into what category by their peers, by the industry, by outsiders, projecting those labels onto them. And most particularly, how in places like Palestine, activism and journalism are the same thing. And that, in a way, not just that is unique to those places, but in a way that reveals that all journalism is activism. Whether the industry of journalists globally recognizes that or not, it is Palestinians that help us understand what we are actually doing when we do journalism.